are tested at incredibly high speed. It can be beautiful to watch, and it can be terrifying. This was Zoe Haas of Switzerland in a training run for today's women's downhill of the World Alpine Skiing Championships. She survived this fall, only a shoulder separation. She'll race again, but not today. All the finest women downhill racers are here in Santa Caterina, Italy for today's race, and the one to beat is young Mikaela Figini of Switzerland. A year ago, at the age of 17, you watched Mikaela take the Olympic gold in the downhill at Sarajevo, Yugoslavia. She has dominated the Women's World Cup circuit ever since, and you'll see her today in the women's downhill, the World Alpine Skiing Championships via same-day satellite coverage. In which wide world of sports has spanned the globe, we have rarely found ourselves in this area as the site for this year's World Alpine Skiing Championships. Natives here in northern Italy simply call the region the Magnificent Land. Officially, Bormio, Italy is the host village for this year's championships, and today in nearby Santa Caterina, the site of the women's competition, will bring you the downhill. Bormio and Caterina are located some 120 miles north of Milan. Switzerland and Austria are only a few miles away, but the snow-packed passes over the towering Alps of view prohibit travel and serve to isolate this beautiful area even more so. Santa Caterina is a quiet village with a population of 120. Life is simple. The people are warm, friendly, and love their magnificent land. It's also a land rich in southern European history. Those same alpine passes closed in the winter have for centuries brought commerce and conquerors to this area. Today, however, Santa Caterina will be the focal point of the world of alpine skiing. A woman downhill racer will be crowned the world champion. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford, and welcome to the Alpine Skiing Championships. And in just a few moments, we'll be bringing you the women's downhill competition. For those of you who are not familiar with these championships, well, they occur every 2 years, and along with the Winter Skis are the two most prestigious events in the entire world of ski racing. ABC cameras, by the way, since 1970 have brought you every Winter Olympics and each and every World Championships, and we are genuinely proud of that. Our covering to pick up tomorrow with the running of the men's downhill, and of course Billy Johnson of the United States and the gold medalist from Sarajevo a year ago will be in that field. And then a week from tomorrow, we'll be bringing you the conclusion of these championships. And just as it is in the Winter Olympics, medals are awarded to the winners here in the World Championships. There will be 4 gold medals that will go to the women over the next 9 days, and there will be 4 gold medals that will be going to the men. Working with me on this competition is Bob Beattie. And of course, Bob and I have spent a lot of time together covering alpine events. But Bob, you were involved in the World Championships going all the way back to 1962 when you were coach of the U.S. ski team. You don't look it.
Thanks a lot, Frank. You make me feel pretty old. As a matter of fact, I kind of feel old right now. I've lost my credentials and I've lost my wallet. So.
Well, you've got one glove. This is quite a mountain, isn't it? We're in one of the most remote areas I've ever been to, and we've been to a lot of places, but it's still quite a mountain, isn't it?
Well, you know, people, particularly in the United States, haven't heard of this area very much, but I think the valley is very good, and the 2 mountains that the events are going to be run on, I think are excellent. They've had 4 years to get ready for them, and they've really done a good job. I look for some outstanding events, and frankly, I'm kind of excited to be here. This is a real happening in the sport of skiing, and old friends come from all over the world every other year to see this event of the festivities and everything else. And, you know, sort of unlike your Super Bowl, which is excited, I might say, this event offers a lot of surprises traditionally, and we have 8 events, and I think we're going to look some really good competition here. Excuse me, but also I might mention that the wind on the top, I just got a bulletin, is really howling up there, and that's going to add another tough competition.
Okay, that, of course, women's downhill. But speaking candidly, Bob, about the U.S. team, we are not what we were a year ago.
Well, in Sarajevo, we won 3 gold medals out of 6 events. It was a phenomenal performance, and I don't even know that in my life we'll ever see that again. I hope we do. But with the Mayer brothers retiring, of course, in the men's events, that leaves a real void there, although we have Doug Lewis as a U.S. team has come on very strong in downhill, and frankly, Bill Johnson has been struggling quite a bit. On the women's side, though, Tamara McKinney, who won't be skiing in the downhill here today, but will be in 3 other events, has a chance for medals in those. So she could come through and make it a pretty good week for the U.S. after all.
Indeed, she could. And when you speak of the women's competition in the world of skiing today, you think really of one skier. She's from Switzerland. Her name is Mikaela Figini. And she has totally dominated the world circuit, since she won the gold medal in the downhill at Sarajevo, Yugoslavia. She's had a remarkable record. This year, she's won 3 downhill. She's won giant slalom. She's won a combined. She is just running away with everything, and she's 10 years old. Let's her up close and personal. It was just about a year ago, with our ABC cameras focused on the Olympic Games in Sarajevo, Yugoslavia, that a young superstar was born. Mikaela Figini of Switzerland left the start house on Yaharina Mountain and skied almost flawlessly to a gold medal in the women's downhill. Mikaela was 17 years old, and she became the youngest Winter Olympics champion ever. And Mikaela did it the hard way. One day before her victory, she had raced through the fog to take an overwhelming lead in the only to watch as her result was erased, the race canceled, and rescheduled for the following day. It showed the character of a real champion, and the scene at the finish line when she was stood victoriously onto the shoulders of her teammates would become a familiar sight in the world of alpine skiing. After the skiing season, she returned to her village in the Italian province of Figini in southern Switzerland. In her home at the base of the town's only ski lift, Mikaela reflected about her success.
I have always things hard, one at a time, year by year, without dream. I had never thought I would become a famous ski racer.
She did become famous, and her story was quickly chronicled in this book, Mickey, as she is known to her teammates and friends and now to everyone. She began skiing at the age of 3 and became so good that she was beating the boys by the age of 9. The great Swiss skier Dorothy Agostini, also from Mikaela's province, played a big part in Mikaela's development as a class skier, and at the age of 15, she had a tough to make.
It was the year for my diploma. I stopped skiing in the middle of the year. I was going through that period. Neither my studies nor my skiing were at their best, so I had to make a decision.
Being at school, she's alive dedicated to skiing. 11 out of 12 months of her year are devoted to conditioning, training, and competition. Not much time to be at home, but during that time, she told us how she felt about entering this season as the Olympic champion.
Most of the other female competitors will won't have done the Sarajevo race, especially because this year there is still a possibility of doing so in the World Championships.
Mikaela Figini will know soon if revenge for her victory in Sarajevo will go to her competitors. But each of those would-be champions is well aware that it will take an extraordinary effort to defeat this remarkable young 18-year-old superstar. Mikaela Figini of Switzerland, she's a remarkable talent. And Bob, what is it that makes her just absolutely alluring?
Well, Frank, I took a look at the tape of her combined downhill run and picked out what I think is the most critical part on the course that really kind of represents the way she skis. Let's take a look. She's coming off the flat right now, entering a section of the course called the S-turn. Very important here to not lose that speed that you're off the flat. Now let's take a look at her down ski. Notice how that ski just kind of carves right through the turn. Hardly any slippage at all. Because if you slip, you can lose speed. And she really was remarkable in that particular turn, as she is in most of the turns. And the reason? She's so aggressive, probably more aggressive than any other woman on the course. We can see her right there just dive right down into the turn. Here we can see her come right down through here and just keep diving. She's not always that pretty, but she keeps flailing down that course. Now right back in the tuck, down the course. And the thing, we realize she's only 18 years old. What's she going to be later?
Mikaela Figini is super talent, and we'll be watching her very shortly as she attempts to add a gold medal in the World Championships to her Olympic gold. And we'll be right back with Bob and Cindy Nelson and a look at the course here at Santa Caterina. A few miles from Bormio in northern Italy, the site of the women's downhill competition, which will be getting underway very shortly. The winds are continuing to blow here, and it's going to be very hazardous up at the top of the course. There you can see the winds, and we have been told they are gusting somewhere between 45 and 55 miles per hour. As you can see, they're having a hard time keeping the gates intact, and our cameramen are also having their problems up at the top of the hill. The start house is well above the timber line, so the wind is really whistling along up there. Let's take a look at the course. The length, 8,275 feet. That works out to a little over 1.5 miles. The vertical drop is just under a half mile, and during the training, the girls were running at speeds of well over 60 miles per hour. And who better to talk about this course than Nelson, the veteran member of the U.S. ski team, 3 times an Olympic racer for the U.S., and she talked about the course with Bob Beattie.
Cindy, generally, how do the women feel about the downhill course?
It varies between the athletes. The more veteran women, the more experienced, I think they would prefer to have a more demanding downhill. It's quite fast, however, there aren't any major turns or major technical sections of the course that would demand the better skier to come out, where experience would play a part. However, for the younger girls and an overall field, it's a good downhill. It's a fair downhill. They've prepared it so well. We reach high speeds, and that being the only major factor in the downhill is the speed. So I'd say as a World Championship downhill, it's going to be a fair one.
Okay, more specifically now, earlier this week we had a downhiller go down the course with the camera between his legs. Why don't you take us down, just as you would kind of think of it as you go down the race course?
Okay, well, from the ladies' start, we go immediately out of the the start and down into your tuck position, your speed. This is the top of the mountain, and so you have to take everything off the top you can. You have a 3-gate turn here, drop handle snake, then you go into a right-hand turn with a jump here. It's really hard to maintain your position. This is a long 3-gate side hill turn that brings you across the hill to start the last major steep. You come down into compression, and this lines you up for the flat. Now you search for your aerodynamic position to take all the speed onto this flat so that you can be fast. At the end of the flat, we have a slight right-hand turn, which leads you into the meadow turns, which aren't major turns. They're just little directional changes. You rock from one ski to the other, holding your dynamic position, trying to keep the least wind resistance possible. You come down off of the meadows into the first net turn, which is a sharp right-hand turn. It leads you into the only big turn on the course, which is a left-hand turn onto a flat. Then you have one more big turn. The other fence turn goes back to the right. It's a long turn. You drop down a pitch. It flattens out at the end. Now the only thing the racer's thinking about for 3 gates is jump. And as you come to the jump, there's nothing to do but hold your position and hope for a good landing.
Okay, Cindy, what's it going to take to win this day?
I think the girl that searches for speed, if she has a lot of guts and really good equipment, that's what it's take. The downhill demands those things, and if you can deliver, then...
And we're about ready to get this underway. As you can see, the wind continues to blow up at the top of the hill. 45 to 50 mile per hour is the reported gusting up there, and it's going to be a very hazardous track. One decision has been made, and that is to send down some of the late starters. The starters really who would be at the bottom of the list because they really have not earned the right to race at the top. And they are going to send 6 of them down to clear the snow off the course, snow that has been blown onto the course by this gusting wind. And unbelievably, Cindy Nelson, perhaps the most famous of the women's U.S. last decade, beat those late starters. This is Cindy Nelson in the gate. She was a silver medalist in 1982 in the World Championships at Schladming. Cindy on the course.
Well, it might seem meaning that Cindy is really starting this late, but in all fairness to her, there's really no results that have put her on is the fact that she wasn't even going to be racing downhill this year. So she didn't really have a chance to get back in the groove, so to speak, because she really did bang up her knee very badly a couple years ago. We can see her coming down here, and the tough thing about this kind of snow up here is that the visibility is tough as well as the wind. It's hard to see those little ripples and hard to see those little bumps.
That's the running time of Nelson on the right. That's Karen Percy of Canada on the left. That's the time she had a top intermediate checkpoint, and we compare Cindy with Karen Percy up at the top, and Percy's time better than Cindy Nelson.
Well, Cindy is wearing a knee brace, Frank. I think it's very different when you have bad visibility and wind like it takes a little bit more away from your confidence and into the back. That's pretty much down. She almost didn't know where that bump was right there. You could see her ski go up in the air just a little bit.
Again, carrying speeds of around 50 to 65 miles per hour. Nelson's time on the right. She is second once again at the second intermediate checkpoint to Karen Percy of Canada. And Bob, one thing about her, even though she's not off to a good year, she has not done well either in slalom or downhill. When you look at her record over the past decade, she has meant so much to the young American ski team, to Kristen Cooper, to Tim McKinney, Holly Flanders. She has been sort of the guide for the youngsters as they have come on, and really responsible for the success we had at Sarajevo. Very highly responsible for it last year in the women's team. Running time on the right of Nelson. That's Percy on the left, and Cindy Nelson moved second place behind Karen Percy. And we have one more snowplower, if you will, to come down. They are literally cleaning the course for the racers who have earned the right to start early in the race. But Cindy Nelson, at 29 years old, perhaps in her final season after over a decade representing the United States. In the start house is the Trudel Hescher, a West German racer, 24 years old. Not a good downhill result season. Had an 8th, a 2nd, and a 3rd in the giant slalom events, but nothing to speak of downhill, Bob.
Frank, on this particular course, she's been pretty good. She was good in the training runs, and she was also 3rd in the combined downhill event, which is combined with the slalom to be held later next week. So she is pretty good on this. She also, this German team, I might like to say a little bit. The Austrians last year didn't win any medals in Sarajevo. When they came back, all the coaches were fired. The Germans didn't win any medals either. All the coaches were kept in place, and they raised their fundraising by 10% more. And that consistency is really helping this program.
Hescher's time on the top is still less than that of Karen Percy of Canada. That's Percy's time on the left. And I'll tell you, Hescher is having a little problem. She was off the course there for a minute, Bob, and they, again, are carrying speeds of well 60 per hour. Visibility at the top is very poor.
Well, she caught her arm on that gate just a little bit, but it didn't seem to make her go too wide. She's also trying to stay in just as low a tuck as she can so that wind doesn't hit her in the chest.
And Hescher, West Germany, has replaced Karen Percy at that second intermediate timing area. Now she moves down through the final turn, then she'll take the big shift to the finish line.
Well, she's staying very low in her tuck, Frank, right now, and she's actually, looks like she's having a fairly good run down here. Now in this last turn here, and then she's going to be for that finish line.
Trudel Hescher of West Germany, time on the right. The leader is on.
There's the bump. Now it's the finish line coming up.
And Trudel Hescher has moved into first place. She, of course, is the last of the 6 late starters to come down the course. They are about ready to get underway. That wind is continuing to blow up at the top of the course. Again, the reports are gusting up to 50 miles per hour. Now we get a report there is a delay in the race. There's a delay, and we'll be returning to Santa Catarina to find out what's going to happen. Santa Catarina, Sylvia of Austria. She's 19 years old. She broke onto the World Cup circuit at the age of 16, was the youngest ever to win a World Cup event. It's hard to believe at 16, but Bob, she really has never lived up to the expectation, but she might do well on this course.
Well, Frank, she's been injured an awful lot. We might mention this wind again because every racer has a different situation to go down in. It's gusty. Sometimes it goes behind you. Sometimes it comes up and hits you in the chest. It's very, very difficult right now. I think wind is probably the toughest thing to race on, particularly when you're above tree line and you really haven't got any reference point. Also, we might mention the Austrian women have not had a very good season, but on this particular downhill, in a World Cup race in December, they were first, second, and third. They won great reason, so they should have really kind of some confidence right here.
She was faster up in the top than Hescher of West Germany, so she did well. It looked as though the visibility had cleared a little bit at the top, but now Ader has a pretty going.
It seems to me she could maybe get her chest down just a little bit more. Some of the area is going to be hitting her in the chest right there. She may be able to not get quite the wind pressure if she could do that.
That's Hescher's time again over in the left. She came down early to clear the course, as you recall. And that is Ader on the right, and she is well ahead of Hescher and doing well.
Well, she is having a pretty good run right here. She's been oftentimes injured, but she's starting to come back in good form again. The Austrians, of course, desperately have some good medals here in the championships.
We're watching 19-year-old Sylvia Ader, and she has a fine run going, carrying a speed now. She'll take a bump, and then she'll have the final shoot line, and barring anything unforeseen, take the lead.
Oh, she almost sat back on the back of her skis right there, coming down here.
Sylvia Ader almost lost it, but she crosses the finish line, trips the electric timing device, and she has moved into first place. Sylvia Ader in first place by 5/100ths of a second. But Sylvia knows full well racers are still, and one of them is moving into the start house right at the moment. We talk so much about her. There she is, Mikaela Figini of Switzerland. She's only 18 years old. Bob and I called her race for the gold in the downhill at Sarajevo a year ago, and she was absolutely stunning in that race. Prior to that, only one cup downhill, but she has dominated the women's circuit ever since. Let's watch her.
Well, she's won the last 3 downhills coming into this event. Many people here feel that the race is really for second place. Look at how low she gets in her tuck up here at the top. She's really going after this one, Frank.
She's from just over the border in Switzerland. As a matter of fact, the people in her province speak Italian.
Oh, we can see that wind blowing snow across the course. That's even going to be tougher for her. Oh, she's outside the little markers. You can do that as long as you make the gate.
There is no penalty for that. Boy, she was dangerously close to a fall. Of course, the time on the late, that is Ader's time. She has the lead. That's Figini up at the top, and she is little Ader at the top.
0.6 of a second behind up there at the top. She lost a lot of time. One of the things they say about Figini, though, is that every little mistake makes her even go faster. We'll see. She really does have her work cut out for her, particularly on this little downhill where every little mistake really is amplified.
They say of Figini, she has nerves of steel. Pressure never seems to bother her. That's the second intermediate time there on the left, and she's very close. She almost made a 6/10 second. She is really on it.
Well, Frank, she's really doing well down here at the bottom. I can't believe she really made up that much speed, particularly when it was almost all just straightaway till those turns. Now she got through those turns pretty well. She should be in pretty good shape down here.
Will she make up the difference? Ader is the leader. She's looking up and watching Figini come hill.
Now she has this other second set of S turns coming through here. Little bump right here. There she goes right now. Good shape
bump. Will she be able to overtake Ader? No, she does not. Figini is in second place. Figini behind Ader, and she has got to be pointed. As mentioned, she has won the last 3 World Cup downhill. She was heavily favored coming into this edition, and there certainly has got to be tremendous disappointment, and she really had problems up at the top of the hill. I don't know whether it was the wind or the visibility, but she really lost the time up at the top. Let's look at it.
Okay, here we get down right now where she went outside those little course markers, which are really there for visibility than anything else. You can see her arm get twisted behind her right there. But we can see the damage is already done. She's heavily outside the course. Remarkable recovery back right in the course. Doesn't matter as long as you make the gates. And we can see her come down right through here. Get right back in that toe for it. There's there's the gate, which she made.
Tremendous disappointment down at the finish line. As I mentioned, a lot of Swiss race fans have come across the border to watch their young superstar, and she is complaining about something. The wind, of course, nearly blew her off the course, and it is really blowing up at the top.
She's probably not very happy about the mistake or the windy conditions she has to race in. This is the World Championship.
But in any event, Mikaela is in second place. Ader of Austria is in first place. And this is Marianne Kiel of West Germany. She's 20 years old. Better giant slalom skier than she is a downhiller, but this could work.
Well, she's a real favorite on this German. I've been really impressed with the whole German team, both men and women this year. They have an outstanding coaching staff and a real system, and everybody feels it. The Germans have come on very strong, and their teams be recognized.
She won a time a week ago at Rosa, and her best downhill finish thus far of the season for Kiel of West Germany has been a second place. Wow, she got in trouble.
You know, and Frank, just as we saw Figini come down and have bad visibility, she almost fell over forward there. All of a sudden, the visibility has gotten a little bit better.
That is the time of Ader of Austria.
Oh, she almost crushed her ski right there. It's hard to see when the visibility is bad exactly where your skis are or have a feel for them on the snow.
At the top of the hill, Kiel was about a half second slower than Ader. A seat makeup at the bottom. Figini did well down here.
So, Frank, it's very warm here today, and each racer coming down sets that track a little more. It's a little bit glazy. It's hard to make those skis crack. They start sliding a bit.
That's Ader's time on the left once again, and this time Kiel has made it tremendous between that first intermediate checkpoint, but boy, she lost it there for a moment.
She lost a lot right at the start of that S-turn. You could see her slip sideways a little bit. Big mistake for her.
Marianne Kiel of West Germany. Now down through the lower part of the course. She lost a lot coming out of that second intermediate checkpoint.
She was also a little wide just above coming into this straightaway. Let's see how she is down through here.
The final S-turn, then the bump, and then the shush to the finish line.
She's in good shape on that bump. The women don't have many bumps in their course. They've had a problem with it.
Kiel of West Germany, and she moves into fourth place. She lost a great deal in between those two intermediate checkpoints.
Oh, that one S-turn did it for her.
She is upset. She had just going for her, but that one little mistake cost her a tremendous amount of time, and the wind is continuing to, it is still gusting up at the top, tremendous speed, and now we understand there is another delay. We have another delay in the women's downhill of the World Alpine Ski Championships here at Santa Caterina in northern Italy. Of course, the postponement of the women's downhill competition of the World Alpine Skiing Championships. As we pan over, you see the empty start house. And what an empty feeling there must be for Silvia Ader of Austria. She had the lead over Mikaela Figini after the first few racers had come down the hill, and she perhaps has had a gold medal taken away from her. Right now we're standing with Rado Melcher. He's the referee for today's competition. Could you tell us what happened?
Well, the problem was that we had a lot of wind which came in irregularly, and it did blow in the snow in the course, and we had to make the interruptions because the wind was strong. And then the snow stayed in the course after an interruption of about 4 or 5 minutes. It was not possible to let them start anymore because the chances were really not the same for everybody.
Basically, the racers who would have come down later, they would have been skiing on a different course.
Absolutely. The course was changed because there was much more new snow in, which was blown in, and it was not possible to keep that snow out, and so we had to take the decision to interrupt the race first and then to cancel it.
You started the race. Was there any concern at the time that this might happen when the race was started?
Well, we thought that it might be a problem, but when we started, we had yesterday about the same problem as we had today, and then at 12 o'clock the wind stopped, and we had a good training yesterday, and we hoped and thought that it could happen today too, but it didn't.
And the race will be rescheduled at a meeting this evening?
Yes, there will be a meeting of the group which is in charge of changes of programs, and at 4 o'clock, and then we'll see what we can do and where and how we can do it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, there it is, the word from Rado Melcher. He, of course, is the referee. The race will be rescheduled at a meeting that will be coming up tonight. Bob, many ramifications of this for Mikaela Figini. It's really deja vu. Sarajevo, Yugoslavia, they scheduled the race one day. She raced in the fog. They canceled it, and she won the next day. But in that case, she was an overwhelming leader in the first race and probably would have won the gold medal on the first day. In this particular instance, she was trailing Eder of Austria, and for Eder, it might have been an opportunity to really blow a gold medal.
Well, you're right about that, Frank, but the one thing that I really kind of question is whether or not they should have started this race in the first place. As far as I can tell, it was going just the same at the start as it was when they canceled the race. And, you know, any way you look at it, it's a great break for Figini. Eventually a tough one for Eder.
Well, in any event, the race will be rescheduled at a meeting later tonight. We have a good race coming up for you tomorrow here at Championships, the men's downhill, and of course, Billy Johnson, the gold medalist from Sarajevo, and the United States will be in that field. Is this weather following us from Sarajevo?
Well, I think it does come in out fast, but it's the nature of us to live with it.
Okay, for Bob Beattie, this is Frank Gifford saying so long, the Catarina in northern Italy.
Great victory in Sarajevo. How would you compare this downhill to that one?
Well, this is more of a wide open course, whereas here there's a lot more radical turns, more direction change rather than Sarajevo was very open and on the bottom section almost no turns at all, where here there's lots of turns all the way course.
But there are a lot of bumps in this course.
Yeah, there's 3-4 bumps, but nothing quite like Sarajevo except for the finish bump, which is pretty hairy here.
Now, a lot of people have said that the Sarajevo course was tough as this one. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know. It all depends. Is it tougher to win, or is it for on the legs? I don't know. It's this course. You know, you can't really compare courses. This course is almost 30 seconds longer than the Sarajevo course. So, in that respect, it's a little tougher. And you know, what can you say? It's all in the mind how tough any course is.
Okay. How about your mind? Is this a good one for you?
I think it's a good one for me. I'm on my turns, and if I make it through the turns all right here, like last year, I thought I was skiing among the top 5 turners in the world, and if I can ski like I was at the end of last year, I'm sure I'll have a good run.
Okay. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.